Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team. Got you covered. Traditional leagues, dynasty leagues, PPR leagues, IDP League, even Daily Fantasy Football League. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
What's going on, y'all? Back for another episode of the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Austin. I am the host. I'll be going live at 7 p.m. Mountain Time for the live show. If you want to check out the live show, that's where the main meat is. But this is going to be the Patreon segment, and I'm excited to bring this Patreon segment to y'all because we are going to be looking over the waiver wire, trying to find any type of value we can find. I'm specifically looking at these 12-team PPR leagues because that's usually what I'm participating in, looking for some fantasy value. But if you guys have any questions or anything, any guys that you want me to give my opinion on or what have you, I can definitely do that. Just drop a comment, and I'm down to answer any question that is in there, guys. Let's just get right into it. I'm looking at my personal waiver wire that we got up right now, and the flex position is looking sad right now, guys. Oh, my goodness gracious. There's no running backs, a bunch of wide receiver threes, and then some tight ends with minimal value that I'm seeing right now. First guy I want to check on, I guess, is going to be... I guess it's just Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith is going to be the first guy that I want to check on because he had a really big day in week 4, like what I saw from him, and he was way better than Kyle Pitts was. He's actually been outperforming Kyle Pitts this entire season with targets and yards, so that is a great sign. Week 2, Jonnu Smith, 4 receptions for 47 yards on 6 targets. Week 3 against the Lions, 5 receptions for 37 yards. On 8 targets, both weeks 2 and 3, he put up 8.7 fantasy points, so definitely decent. And then popped off in week 4, 6 receptions for 95 yards when Kyle Pitts literally only went for 2 receptions for 21 yards. He could definitely be someone to monitor and keep an eye on. Don't think he's the worst person, especially in a 12-team, to have at least on your roster to see what he keeps doing, because I'm sure if you waited on tight end and you have a guy like, I don't know, like Dalton Kincaid that you're thinking is going to be your tight end 1, I don't think that he's going to be able to get the job done. Jonnu Smith has much more upside, and it looks like he's taking over Kyle Pitts' role. There are rumors of Kyle Pitts getting traded too. My second segment here is going to be fantasy rumors, so we're going to talk about some of those rumors as well. But Jonnu Smith's not someone that I hate in any way, having a roster spot in a 12-team league. Next guy here, gotta give a look to Allen Lazard, a guy who's been a beast over the past couple years in that Aaron Rodgers Packers offense. Very, very good, and had his first touchdown in week 4. Don't love the volume that he's getting. Only had 3 receptions versus Kansas City, but 3 receptions for 61 yards and a touchdown does equal 15 fantasy points, and that's definitely going to get it done. A guy that you may be looking at for like your flex position or wide receiver 2 type guy. I play in a league right now where I have multiple flexes, so I actually should have added an extra roster spot. It would have definitely made some sense, but he's going up against Denver's defense next week. Denver's defense, the worst coverage in the entire NFL according to PFF, and we just saw Justin Fields complete his first 16 passes against that Denver defense. If you don't think Zach Wilson is a better thrower of the ball than Justin Fields, you are incorrect. Justin Fields is technically a running back, and I'd like Allen Lazard to be rostered in these type of leagues. He currently is only rostered in 25%, and it has gone down 4.2% week to week, which is crazy. But I think he has a chance to catch a touchdown. I think he has a chance to be a red zone threat and get some yards against a really bad offense or a really bad defense with Denver. So I could like him definitely. Another guy to look at, just because the Giants' wide receiver core is so down bad right now, Wan'Dale Robinson, currently only rostered in 1.5% of leagues, coming off his ACL injury that he sustained last year, which was pretty bad. He sat out the first 2 weeks of the season and looks like he's kind of taken over this Giants wide receiver 1 position. which is crazy. Wan'Dale Robinson seems like his name is literally like a joke, like Quandale Dingle. I'm sure you guys have heard that. But Wan'Dale Robinson putting in work, 4 receptions on 5 targets in week 3 versus San Francisco. Obviously a very good defense San Francisco has. And then last night, is today Tuesday? Yeah, today's Tuesday. So last night, 5 receptions for 40 yards on 6 targets. He outperformed Darren Waller, who's supposed to be their number one guy. He outperformed Isaiah Hodgins, who's also supposed to be technically their number one depth chart rostered wide receiver. But I like Wan'Dale Robinson, if nobody else is going to take over that role, to be the wide receiver 1 for the Giants. At some point, the Giants are going to find a way to be successful in some way. Probably not in the win category, but I know Daniel Jones has an arm on him, and he's like a decently accurate thrower. So I don't hate Wan'Dale Robinson being rostered either, and think that he could find a way to make it into your flex spot too. Keeping going, and a lot of these guys are very, very bad, just in NFL terms. But we talked about Michael Wilson yesterday on the Patreon segment. He was actually a 3rd-round pick out of Stanford and has gone through a lot of injury history, but put up 7 receptions for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns, caught all 7 of his targets, 26 fantasy points, and the coach really does like him. Going up against Cincinnati in week 5, who's obviously been struggling, get a ton of points put on their defense. So if he could possibly find a role to, be the wide receiver 2, obviously Hollywood Brown and who's the other guy on the Cardinals? Rondale Moore is the wide receiver 2 technically, but Michael Wilson's a much bigger, much stronger type wide receiver, could be a possession guy for Josh Dobbs. And I definitely don't hate him getting a roster spot either. Let's talk a couple of running backs here. If you guys don't know who Jaleel McLaughlin is, he is the backup running back technically for the Denver Broncos. He's supposed to be getting some more work with the injury to Javonte Williams, and then also Samaj Pirine went down. This guy, Jaleel McLaughlin, rostered in only 0.7% of fantasy leagues, so I'm sure he is out there ready for the taking. And I think just because the running back spot is so thin, he has to be a guy that, if you're struggling at running back, that you have to grab. Also remember that the waiver order resets tonight, it's technically in the morning on Wednesday. I think it's like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. on Wednesday. It does reset, and if you have that number 1 waiver order, you need to use it. And Jaleel McLaughlin may be the guy that you want to pick up. 7 carries for 72 yards, also added in 3 receptions for 32 yards and a touchdown. He looked very fast, very explosive. He's a bit smaller, and I'm sure that's why he didn't get like the initial look, but reports are saying that he should be getting some work in the coming weeks. So he might be the only running back in a 12-team league that I would give any type of attention to at all. Want to look through these other guys. Yeah, we got like Latavius Murray up there. Obviously, he's going to get his carries just stolen by James Cook. Really, if there's not an injury to a running back, none of these guys in a 12-team league really have value. Guys I'm seeing are like Ronnie Rivers, Los Angeles Rams running back, Michael Carter, New York Jets, who's technically ranked ahead of Jaleel McLaughlin right now, which is crazy. But all of these other guys, even Jeff Wilson, who's on IR, is showing up ahead of a lot of guys who have talent, but not going to get it done. Like Kendre Miller, he was getting a look before Alvin Kamara went out. 9 carries in week 3, and then only 1 carry once Kamara came back. Didn't record too many snaps either. I was looking at him on PFF to check his snap count to see if he might have any value, but I don't think that he does either. So running backs in 12-team leagues looking extra thin. You're going to need to look out for those injuries. Wide receiver-wise, I still have guys like Michael Gallup, Braxton Berrios sitting on my waiver wire. Michael Gallup has been putting up some solid numbers. Obviously, CSU alum, very, very good player, but just probably not in the best situation that he could possibly be. Just being a wide receiver 3 type guy. Brandon Cooks is ahead of him. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is going to be ahead of him too. and he has Jake Ferguson getting a ton of targets in this offense as well. But week 3 against Arizona, Michael Gallup, 6 receptions for 92 yards, 15 fantasy points. Not too shabby. Came back, 5 receptions for 60 yards and 11 fantasy points. Just like this guy because he's at least a part of the offense. Also a little bit biased as a CSU alum myself towards Michael Gallup, but think that he's at least worthy of a roster spot too. Think that you got to put him on your roster. And then finally, the guy that I wanted to talk about the most, who I think has the most waiver acclaim, besides maybe Jaleel McLaughlin if he were to get more touches, is going to be Curtis Samuel. Consummate pro, consummate vet, and someone who is getting a lot of touches in this Commanders offense. Eric Bieniemy, obviously, very tough, very good offensive coordinator, was previously the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, and he's looking for Samuel to make plays. Week 4, 7 receptions for 51 yards on 8 targets, so caught 7 of his 8 targets, obviously very good. And he has also recorded a carry in 3 of these 4 games, so possibly like a jet sweep type guy. Definitely can get to the edge, and he has 4.4 speed for sure, and he'll have that for a while to come. See if there's anyone else who I really want to touch on before we get into these fantasy rumors. I got some juicy fantasy rumors for you guys coming very soon. Maybe let's look at Braxton Berrios because I was talking about him just a little bit. The volume's definitely not there for him. He had a decent week 4, 6 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. His touchdowns are going to come very sparingly. Obviously, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to dominate the receiving part of that offense, but I think he could be somebody that has potential to break out just because of his pure athleticism. Also a 4.4 type guy who's sitting on the waiver wire. And then finally, the guy who is numero uno for flex position on the waiver wire is Rashee Rice. Looks like a guy who could be putting up like 10 fantasy points per game if that'll help in any way. Obviously, deeper, like 14-team leagues, he would probably be rostered. Only rostered in 10% of leagues at the moment right now, but he's getting like more targets than Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, more touches, and he's just like a bigger, stronger receiver that has the capability to take those hits. Week 3, 5 receptions for 59 yards, 12.9 fantasy points. Week 3, a bit of a lackluster performance, 3 receptions for 32 yards, but had the 5 targets. Let's check where that sat at, like in relation to these other guys for the Chiefs. Obviously, Kelsey is going to be dominating that target share for the rest of his NFL career if he's going to stay with them. But I do like Rashee Rice. He's like a 6'3", rangy receiver. And I want to check these targets. Target-wise, he was the second in targets in that Jets game, a very close game. So obviously they have him in there. They trust him to make plays. Kadarius Toney only had 2 targets in the whole game. Rashee Rice got 5. So definitely not the worst guy to be looking at as it pertains to like a deeper fantasy league. But I would love to hear any questions that you guys have and any guys that you're looking at, and I would love to give my opinion. But that is the waiver wire report for right now. When I come back, we're going to be doing fantasy rumors, and I'm very excited to get into these fantasy rumors because they are juicy. What's going on, y'all? No time to waste. No time to waste in any way. Let's talk fantasy rumors. I know y'all want to hear it, so I'm here to bring it to you. Man, there's definitely some things going on in the NFL. First, want to touch on Jameson Williams. If y'all don't know who Jameson Williams is, I need you to go look up his YouTube highlights right now at Bama. This guy was a very impressive athlete. Probably Bryce Young's number one wide receiver when he was at Bama, and coming off a gambling charge, the NFL was not playing around with those gambling situations with their players, and I'm hearing that these gambling fines are gonna, if you bet on your own team, what it is you get banned 2 years in the NFL, no questions, and then they're just upping the stakes as it pertains to players gambling. They're not having it. But Jameson Williams got saved. He was on 6-game suspension, but his suspension was lifted. He's only going to be on 4-game suspension now, which is definitely good for the Lions. He's going to immediately slot in as that wide receiver 2 for them behind Amon-Ra St. Brown, it seems. Don't think that Josh Reynolds is any better than this dude, and he is already the fastest guy on the Lions team as well. His teammates have already said it. Amon-Ra said that he thinks J-Mo is faster than Jahmyr Gibbs too. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs runs like a 4.35 40, so I think Jameson Williams, if we looked it up, he's probably running like a 4.3 flat. This dude is a speed demon. He was dealing with a hamstring injury coming into the season. In preseason, he had sustained a hamstring injury and was away from the team because of the gambling charge. He was allowed to be there for preseason, and then once the season started, he needed to get out because he was suspended, obviously. But he said that through this time, he's been going through 2-a-days, putting himself through 2-a-day workouts to get back, and I know the Lions are excited to have him. In 2021, when he was playing with Bama, playing with Bryce Young, this dude put up 7 120-plus yard games in college. Obviously a much different game, but very, very impressive. He is a burner, a bit small. Just like that would be the only knock that I have on his game, is that he's slightly small and a bit frail to make those like big catches, third downs, box your guy out and do that. But deep threat, this guy might already be one of the most dangerous deep threats in the entire league. So I'm very happy that he's going to be back, and I know that the Lions are too. Panthers right now, Panthers looking to get a wide receiver, and it seems like they're willing to pay a decent amount to get this wide receiver. Bryce Young right now struggling really bad in that offense. You know, they got Jonathan Mingo and Adam Thielen and Hayden Hurst, and that is just not a recipe for a lot of wins in the NFL when those are your top 3 ball catchers on your team. But they're looking for a wide receiver. I'm sure that they're willing to trade, you know, one of their second-round picks, and we know how valuable second-round picks are in the NFL. You could pretty much trade a second-round pick and get like Patrick Mahomes at this point. That's just how the NFL is working. Obviously, that is a bit of an exaggeration, but it's just crazy how much a second-round pick can get you in this league today. But they are looking to trade for a wide receiver, and I'm assuming that's going to be soon. Guys that I think that they'll be looking to trade for is maybe like a Jerry Jeudy, or like a, you know, Chase Claypool, who's looking for a trade. We're going to touch on him in a second. I really don't know. Besides that, the guys in really bad situations are kind of hard to come by when you talk about a good receiver. Devontae Adams was obviously alluding to trade talks earlier in the season after their loss to the Chargers, I believe. And, you know, it could be interesting. Definitely could be interesting. I'm sure the Panthers will give up whatever they need to. They're obviously all in on Bryce Young, so they're going to need someone to be his running mate, and I don't think that Adam Thielen's going to be that guy. If you're watching my live show, I was talking about how I think Adam Thielen is the perfect wide receiver too for pretty much any team, and he just needs the attention off of him right now. We were talking about Claypool. Chase Claypool currently playing for the Bears. Pretty solid wide receiver, and I like him when he's at his best. He was obviously very good for the Steelers for a very long time, and he did not even play in week 4 because I think this whole trade situation was going on. He's disgruntled, he's upset, and management knows that, so I'm thinking that they're looking for places to move him, so why not the Panthers to merge that in? I truthfully feel like at his best, he is a wide receiver 1 type guy. He's like a 6'4", runs a 4.5, you know, big, long dreads. You know, if you read the Bible, you know, Samson had long hair, so I think that definitely relates to Chase Claypool. But a couple places I think he could go. I think he could go Panthers, and then I think he could go to the Packers possibly. Packers are really lacking in like veteran wide receivers. All their receivers are like 23 years old, 24 years old. Oh, goodness. Sorry. But yeah, definitely the Packers could be an option just because of their lack of veteran wide receivers. They need someone to come in and like be that Randall Cobb type guy and show the wide receivers just how the game works in the NFL. I also think the Chargers, just because Mike Williams just went down with that ACL injury, obviously a big part of their offense, and I think Claypool kind of like relates to him in like size and speed type way. Not the fastest guy, but definitely big. Mike Williams is 6'4", big receiver who's able to make those red zone catches too. Also think the Chiefs could maybe take a look at Chase Claypool and see if he could have any potential in that offense. Obviously, their second guy, technically, as we were talking about last segment, is Rashee Rice. He's like the second most targeted guy on this squad right now. So why not him to go to the Chiefs and make an impact, be their big, strong wide receiver? We haven't really seen much of Marquez Valdez-Scantling at all, and it was super weird because he was like getting rest in the preseason, like he was going to come out and do a lot in the regular season. We really haven't seen anything from him. I think Claypool is technically more talented than Marquez Valdez-Scantling, so I'm excited to see where he goes. Like I said, didn't play week 4 because of these trade rumors and because he was disgruntled and mad that the Bears are not using him properly. Obviously, they have a running back at quarterback, so it's going to be hard for them to get the ball to anybody. But, definitely interesting to see. We'll see how this Chase Claypool situation pans out. Guys, if you know me, then you know Leonard Fournette is my guy. If he doesn't sign a contract before Thursday when, week 5 airs, NFL, whatever, I have to buy his jersey and burn it. That is the challenge, and I will definitely do that if he is not able to, get on a roster by that point. There were talks that the Patriots were looking at him. There was talk that the Ravens were looking at him. There was talk that, a bunch of teams were looking at him, but he was out of shape earlier. I don't know much about right now. I've been following his Twitter menacingly. I've just been all over his Twitter, and he has been much less active on Twitter. Originally, he was kind of talking about how he was, ready for his next opportunity and how it was going to be coming very soon. And then now it's pretty much just shouting out these rumors. I was searching deep in these weeds and couldn't find anything about Leonard Fournette, but much less active on Twitter is not a good sign. I'm sure at some point some running back is going to go down and they'll need to look at a guy like Leonard Fournette, but for right now, it's just not in the cards for my guy Lenny. Finally, I think this is the most interesting story that I'll talk about today. Is just A.J. Brown randomly got a random drug test after his 175-yard, 2-touchdown performance. He had a big day against the Commanders. Was torching them, caught multiple deep balls. He had one where he was literally weaving inside and out all of their DBs on his way to the end zone. And then right after the game, gets a random drug test. And it's just funny to see anytime that any of these big players have a good day. It seems like they all get randomly drug tested, whether it's the NBA, NFL, MLB, whatever it may be. All these guys just get a random drug test. So I thought that was also pretty funny. If you guys have any rumors or anything that you're seeing, definitely, shoot me on Instagram, whatever, in the comments. Let me know, because I love talking about fantasy rumors. Obviously, Travis Kelce's also dating Taylor Swift, so that's a NFL rumor too. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for my Patreon segment today. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I saw a couple of y'all in here. But yeah, come back for 7 p.m. tomorrow, and I'll be back on talking about a bunch of fantasy stuff, a ton of fantasy coverage from me. I'm constantly in the lab daily, so I'm excited to bring y'all more stuff this week. Friday, don't miss my Friday episode, because that's going to be my matchups episode, and that's the one that I'm always most excited for, bringing you the best matchups for week 5. But yeah, have a good day, guys.